Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Inspired Lady podcast. It is your host, Belle Grubb. I am beyond excited for today's episode. Okay. So way back when we first started this whole podcast, I told you, I promised you guys that I was going to find someone to talk a little bit more about holistic nutrition. And I found the person for this. Okay. Mollie Mason is a holistic nutritionist, and girls, like, she is on a mission to help women stop fighting with their own bodies and really just show up as their brightest selves. And that is just so beautiful. I am so excited for this conversation. I have a list of questions and she has so many good resources. You guys are going to love this. So let's jump right in. As you know, we start each episode with what we're drinking. I have a coconut milk matcha latte and it is delicious. I love it so much. What are you drinking, Mollie?
I also have a matcha latte. Mine is not coconut. I've got the real milk over here.
Look at
I like my cow's dairy. Got raw milk, actually.
Raw milk?
With collagen, of course. Yeah, raw milk.
Okay, I hear people talking about this. Guys, we're just going to jump in really fast.
All right, let's go for it.
Okay, explain raw milk to me. And okay, can you please also tell me, why did I think raw milk was illegal? Is that a thing?
It's illegal to be sold like through grocery stores and stuff. So it's not like actually illegal to drink, but you have to buy it like directly from the farm. So I pick it up from a local farm. And yeah, I mean, basically raw milk is milk that like comes out of the cow and then you don't do anything to it. All the milk in grocery stores has been pasteurized, typically by a high heat, because we believe, and it's true, that by like cooking and treating the milk, we're like burning off bacteria to prevent, bacterial infections. And when cows aren't healthy, that is something we have to worry about. But raw milk is like milk itself actually is full of vitamins and nutrients and enzymes and healthy bacteria for your gut. And when we cook milk, when we pasteurize it, we just kill all that good stuff. And so that's a huge reason why dairy is actually I truly believe real grass-fed raw dairy is a total superfood. But the conventional dairy that we get at our grocery stores, it's just like not even comparable. It's not the same thing at all.
Okay, because whenever I drink real dairy from the grocery store, I usually break out. I feel like my skin doesn't feel like, I don't know. I've never gotten really good effects. So question, where do you get raw milk? Like, do you just Google raw milk suppliers? Like, how does that work? How did you find someone?
Yeah, you do have to find someone. There's a website. I think it might be like getmilk.com or something, or maybe rawmilk.com. I don't know, something like that. I can find it for you and put it you can share it in the show notes, but you can like search in your area and it'll tell you where you can get raw milk near you. Here in Fort Worth, there's actually 2 different farms that deliver to the Fort Worth area because they're like an hour and a half away, but they come every other week and I just like order ahead of time and pick up my milk.
That is so cool. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
okay,
awesome.
Cool. I'm already like changing my life over here. Anyways.
I know. I'd be really curious. You should try it and let me know if you notice that you don't react to it. I mean, it still has lactose, obviously, because it's still milk, but when it's not pasteurized, also when the cows are grass fed and they're not fed a bunch of, hormones and antibiotics and all the things, it's totally different. So
that's so interesting.
Yeah, I think milk and dairy has been completely villainized because we've made it what it's not really meant to be,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be very curious to hear if you feel different, if you try it.
I'm excited. I'm actually going to try this, like literally, because I think that, I'm not lactose intolerant because there's other dairy products I have no problem with. Okay. It's just always been milk. I don't, I don't do well with it. So good to know. Okay.
Well, yeah,
anyways,
you should try it. I'll get you the hookup.
Thank you. Yes, please do. We'll talk after this. But, all right, back up now. Let's talk about you and your story. And just, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where your passion for health and wellness and all that came from?
Yeah, well, I feel like most nutritionists and people who end up in the wellness industry, I am here because of my own story and my own suffering and issues with disease and illness. I have multiple autoimmune diseases. And honestly, I always say, like, as far back as I can remember, like, I just couldn't remember a life where I didn't feel like I was at war with my body. Whether it was like struggling through chronic symptoms or just not liking my skin, the skin that I was in, and feeling at war with my body, I just have struggled with my body, with food my whole life. And then 6 years ago now, which holy smokes, I can't even believe it's been that long. But 6 years ago, I got off the birth control pill that I had been on for 10 years. And I just completely spiraled like after that. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. It triggered thyroid issues and hormone issues and all these things for me. And it was wild. I mean, I literally gained 25 pounds in like a month. Like, it was insane. I went from like being super active and running half marathons to like, I just like couldn't even stand in the shower. It was crazy. So I just walked through that season. And I feel like through that, the Lord has really walked me through a season of healing, and healing my physical body, but also like healing my relationship with food and the way that I see my body, and just giving me this real transformation in my relationship to this vessel that I've been given. So that is what steered me into nutrition. I mean, I actually was a nutritionist before I got Hashimoto's, but I got into it the first time after my first autoimmune diagnosis. And so, I feel like it's my life's work, and it's my way of redeeming my own story and suffering, and getting to help women change their relationships to their bodies, because it's unfortunately like such a common experience that women of this culture have, right? We just have been told that we can't trust our bodies, that they aren't good. And so getting to try to redefine that through my work as a nutritionist has been really cool. So I do have a nutrition degree, but I'm actually also currently going back to school to become a nutritional therapy practitioner, which I'm super excited about, just to get to do more with clients and learn more and offer more on the end of root cause medicine. But yeah, just getting to help women find healing both in the physical and like spiritual side of their relationships with their bodies is definitely what I'm on a mission to do. So I do that mostly through my nutrition practice, a lot of that online. I have online courses and resources and stuff like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, we're definitely going to get into those resources because there's so many amazing ones, and you're making such an impact in so many lives. And I love that so much. I'm so grateful that I get to call you friend, but also take inspiration from you. So anyways, I have, like I said in the beginning, a list of questions.
Let's dig in. I can't wait.
We're going to dive in because there are so many things. And my first question for you is, I feel like there is information overload on the internet of this diet, this fasting cycle, this type of food. I mean, seriously, like dairy in itself, like this teeny tiny portion of our diet. And it is like so controversial, and there's so many opinions and so many ideas, and everything that someone says seems like a brand new idea. And you're like, oh, I want to try it. Not everything's sustainable. Okay. So like, how in the world do we navigate this entire process? And, you know, so many people are like, eat for your body. What does that mean? Like, what is, you know what I mean? Trial and error. So can you just speak on this?
Totally. I love that you started with this because it's so true. And it's a question I get all the time. And even as someone who is like, I'm educated in this stuff, I have a degree in this stuff, I still get so overwhelmed with the headlines and the latest research and the latest experts telling us the new things to try. Like it is overwhelming. And it's so frustrating. It is frustrating. It's frustrating when you're a person who's like trying to make good choices for yourself and you're like, what the heck am I even supposed to do? Because everything contradicts itself, right? So I actually did do a video specifically on answering this question, and I dove into 6 reasons why I feel like nutrition is confusing. So I'll spare you all of them, but things to think about. Number 1, it's so important to know that most clinical trials and research studies that are done on men. And that is one of the reasons why we have such confusion. And I truly believe one of the reasons why so many women are sick these days, and we have so many women with hormone issues, because men and women are not the same. Like God built us differently, and men have a 24-hour hormone cycle and women have a 28-day hormone cycle. Men were literally built to survive under stress, and women were built to grow new life. And those are completely different functions of our bodies. And we cannot take research that shows that men, for example, that intermittent fasting or keto can promote, reduced inflammation or better digestion and all these things. Like this, it's just not the same thing to see how healthy middle-aged men respond to a diet or, a set of circumstances as women do. So that in itself, I feel like is hopefully really validating for women to hear, like, yes, my body is different. Like I can't subject my body to what like these men are saying is good for us. So it's just completely different. Also, it's so important to realize that most nutrition advice and, the latest diets and all these things, they are given through the lens of weight loss. Like everything is about weight loss, right? I mean, the whole industry is about weight loss. And the mark of a successful diet, quote unquote, diet being like literally just the food that you eat. But when we think of diet, we think of like a set of rules to guard what that is and isn't. But you like all of them, they're marked, the success, like saying these things are healthy. It's marked by weight loss. And that is not the same thing as health. Like weight loss is not the same thing as health, especially for women. Obviously, your weight is a marker of your health, but there are so many other biomarkers that represent how healthy you are and how thriving your body is. And so I think just seeing things through that lens, like every time you see contradictory information, like thinking of those things, knowing that that's where things are coming from, right? I think that that's just really helpful. But as far as like navigating how to make these choices, knowing what works for yourself. I mean, I could obviously like spend a million hours giving you like all this advice on what to do, and I can teach you all these healthy tips on how to nourish your body well and how to be healthy. But I truly believe that it has to start with getting in tune with your own body's signals. And this is something I talk about a lot because diet culture that we all grew up in has taught us that we cannot trust our bodies. Like our diet culture taught you that when you're hungry, you shouldn't listen. And that, I mean, we've literally spent our lives ignoring what our body is trying to tell us and overruling that with this set of rules that we've given ourselves, that society has given us, that the latest diet craze has given us, right? Like what hours of the day we can and can't eat or what we can and can't eat. We have lost the art of listening to our bodies. And I just think that is where you have to start. It is getting in tune with your own body signals, because we have a creator who designed us with genius design, and he gave us what we need to know what works for our body and what doesn't. And that's not to say that you're going to know immediately when you try something, because some things like you'll see over time, but we have the ability to know what is right for our bodies just by listening to them and tuning into them. And so I think more and more women can be served by just saying like, okay, I'm going to stop listening to the latest research or the latest whatever they're saying on the morning shows about the latest diet to try. And I'm going to learn what it feels like to listen to how my body reacts. And you'll know what works for you and what doesn't. And I think that is a really good place to start.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is amazing. And I mean, just looking at the way I see exactly what you're saying play out in my own life, where I'm like, wow, I really was, I'm not even sure taught, but like just knew that if you're hungry, you've got to ignore it for as long as you can, because you got to lose the weight. You know what I mean? And I know that I had really bad eating disorders. Like that was a cycle that I had to break, but that was just ingrained in me. Like, I don't even know from where. That was just a thought. And that's crazy, because it was my body being like, hey, I need some nourishment over here.
Yeah. I mean, hunger signals are a huge part of that for sure. But even more than that, like literally paying attention to your cycle, like your body temperatures, like these are all signals of if you have a strong, healthy metabolism, if your thyroid is working, if your hormones are functioning. And the truth is that most of diet culture, like most of what we've been taught our whole lives as the goal of how we nourish our bodies, is to get smaller, right? Like that's what society has told us to do. I know that's what I spent a lot of my life trying to do. That everything I was trying to do to accomplish that, almost everything was contradictory to the actual health of my body, because that's not what we are designed for. And it's like starving ourselves, restricting certain foods, like all of these things are actually like doing the opposite. They're slowing our metabolism. They're hurting our body's ability to literally fire and function. And you see the ramifications of that in all these things like PCOS and Hashimoto's. And I mean, I swear, I feel like everyone I know has some sort of hormone diagnosis. So many women are struggling with infertility. And it's just like, there's no question in my mind that so much of that is a direct result of how many of us spend our lives dieting and restricting ourselves. Like, it's not a question. They are so related.
Yeah, absolutely. And so kind of going off of that, I want to talk a little bit about then, so you made the distinction right away. Diet is what you eat, not necessarily the boundaries you put in place around that. We call keto diets, but really diet is just what you're eating.
Right.
So can you tell me a few tangible steps that someone can take? They're listening there, it's like, oh my gosh, I relate to this so much. What are some things that people can do to better take care of their body? You said signals from our body, listening to that. What are some things that we can do, but not necessarily feel like we're in a box and we're so limited in what we can eat because we can't enjoy food because we've got to stick to this diet like so many of us have been just raised like?
Right. Conditioned to. Mm-hmm. I feel like the first thing is not as tangible because it's in our minds, but I really do think you have to start with shifting your mindset. And even just the question of like, how do I nourish my body while still enjoying my life? Like, we shouldn't see them as contradictory. Like, that in itself, we have been conditioned to see it that way. Like, I'm either dieting or I'm enjoying my life out with my friends, eating ice cream or going to dinner. Like, we've seen them as separate things. So I think just so much of it, the more and more I work with women, the more I learn that so much of this is mindset and like correcting the worldly ways we've been conditioned and just like rewriting the narrative that we have for our own bodies and our nourishment and seeing our vessels as good and nourishing them well. So that in itself is where you start, I think. But on top of that, I think some really practical tips. One of the biggest things that I encourage women with, besides gut health, because that's the foundation of everything, one of the most practical things I think women can do is just focus on blood sugar regulation, like keeping yourself nourished and fed and keeping a steady blood sugar. Because when we restrict ourselves, we signal cortisol to spike, which is quite literally like the cause of PCOS and all these hormone issues. So when we're putting our body under stress and we're causing cortisol to spike, when we're restricting ourselves, we're forcing our body into that process. And we've been conditioned to think that that's what we need to do to be healthier, but it's the opposite of true. Like, we're actually sending our bodies into fight or flight mode, and that's what's triggering all these hormone issues. And we just see the ramifications of that. So I believe proper nourishment and just like focusing on blood sugar regulation, like literally not having any rules around the foods you eat, but just being consistent with your nourishment. Number one, waking up and eating within an hour. Like, you eat a real breakfast within an hour of waking, because you've been fasting for the last 9 to 10 hours, most likely, maybe even more. Your body is starting to, you're completely out of glycogen stores, because glycogen can be stored for about 8 hours. So after that, your body is starting to literally break down its own. And we think that that's going to be fat, but it's not. Our bodies always break down our muscle and our skin, like our organs, before our fat. So just waking up, eating breakfast, every time you eat, make sure that you're getting a balance of protein, carbs, and fat, because carbs are not the enemy. Carbs are so important for healthy hormones, but you don't want to, I always say, don't eat naked carbs. Like, we need to put some clothes on our carbs. So naked carbs is just like having carbs all by themselves. You want to pair them with either protein or fat and or fiber. Fiber is typically in carb-rich food, so your carbs probably have some fiber in it. But making sure that you're pairing that with protein and fat. So like instead of having a smoothie in the morning that's just like fruit, like putting protein in your smoothie, or, you know, making sure you're eating eggs, or like having a piece of fruit, but having it with the eggs, like pairing these protein, carbs, and fat every time you eat makes such a difference. And this is, I mean it when I say this is one of the things that you will feel like a instant effect. Like women, when they start practicing this, when they start proactively nourishing their bodies well, balancing it, eating every 3 to 4 hours, like consistently nourishing your body, you feel the effects so fast. So that in itself, like you don't even need to put rules on what you can and can't eat. Even if you're like wanting to eat the ice cream or whatever like enjoyable foods are for you, they're not off limits. Just like have it after you eat a meal that is rich in protein. If you ever notice like having dessert right after you eat versus like reaching for a candy bar when you haven't had any food for 5 hours, like you're going to react so differently. That's all because of your blood sugar. So even just those little tips make such a difference.
Oh my goodness. I literally am sitting over here taking notes. This is so good. And I feel like I haven't learned any of this, and I am interested. So you are like, some people are like, do not eat for as long as you possibly can, like stay in your fast mode and all that. So you're a big proponent. Breakfast is really important.
Yes. Amen. So yeah, here's the thing. I mean, I intermittent fasted for many years because there is a lot of data that shows like, oh, it's better for your digestion to give your digestion a break, give your gut a break, or it reduces inflammation. Like there are studies that prove that. I am very, very confident that I dieted and fasted myself into the hormone issues that I have, because what that does is it forces our body to spike cortisol, to start to break down itself. I mean, I literally slowed my metabolism, my thyroid down by dieting. Like that's what you do when you diet. And so we don't understand that nourishing your body proactively. And I think especially for women who do struggle with that. I mean, I spent so many years of my life through the like restrict binge cycle. So I would like binge at night and I'd wake up the next morning and be like, okay, I'm going to be better today. So I just would try to not eat as long as I could. That is so terrible for you. If you just proactively nourish your body, if you eat a balanced breakfast, like I can't believe we were just mentioning like working from home. Some days you look up, you're like, oh, it's 7 p.m. Where did the day go? It's so easy to do. Sometimes if I don't proactively have my morning routine and make my breakfast and I don't eat, I will look up and be like, I can't even put into words what a different person I am when I eat breakfast and when I'm not. It is like my brain function, my mood stability, everything makes such a difference. Also, stop drinking your coffee before you eat. That is like one of the biggest things that so many people do, right? Like it's the first thing you reach for in the morning, your coffee. Having caffeine before you properly nourish your body with protein and carbs and fat is another thing that spikes cortisol. And so that just sends you down that blood sugar roller coaster, cortisol roller coaster even further. So one big switch that I made that I just noticed such a difference in is having my matcha after my breakfast, like having breakfast and then your coffee. It's crazy how different you react, because a lot of people think that coffee causes them like anxiety and, you know, all these crazy, like it doesn't have to if you don't have it on an empty stomach.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. I actually started doing that. I think I saw either you posted about it or maybe we talked about it when we went and got coffee that one time. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I started doing that. So I will, instead of wake up and make my coffee with my Bible study, I've been waking up and making my greens in the morning. So I get my green little juice and drink that with my Bible study, and then go make myself eggs and toast and then make my coffee with that. And that's been it. And I do not feel like at all like panicky or shaky, because sometimes I would get a little jittery until I had my toast and eggs. Yes. And seriously, I just feel so much better about it. And I literally have been having breakfast every single day, and I feel really, really good.
Yes, it is insane what happens, like how much better we feel when we just properly nourish ourselves. Like, I'm not kidding. That's why I think that breakfast is such a game changer for women. literally eat a real meal within an hour of waking. Now, so first of all, if you wake up and you're not hungry and you're like, I could never eat within an hour of waking, it takes me until like noon before I'm hungry. That in itself is a sign that you are starving yourself, that your cortisol is high. Like when you wake up and you're not hungry, your cortisol is high. When I started like properly nourishing myself, supporting my thyroid and my metabolism, and like, now it's important to note too, when I say the word metabolism, like I think we think of that as just like the diet culture metabolism, meaning like how much calories you're burning, but actually your metabolism is literally the measure of how well your body is using energy and like creating energy. And so when your metabolism is slow, yes, that often is reflected in this, weight gain or fat gain, but it's actually also just literally like how well your brain functions and how stable your mood is and all these other things that feel really good to us. And we feel dysfunctional when our metabolism is slow. I just think for so many women, especially because women are not doing it because we have this diet culture ingrained in us. If you eat breakfast, like wake up and eat breakfast, even if you're not hungry, like start with something small. I have a recipe on my YouTube channel, on my website, a bunch of places, but I make an adrenal cocktail in the mornings, which really just means an adrenal cocktail is meant to be a proper balance of minerals to supply your body with, because your adrenals burn through these minerals really fast when you're under stress. And so when we make sure we're giving our bodies the minerals that it needs, and the minerals are the spark plugs for the cells in your body, you are preventing your body from that need to release cortisol. So if you're struggling to eat, if you like cannot fathom the idea of actually eating, eggs and toast for breakfast, starting with something like that, like a drink that has macronutrients and minerals in it, that has protein, carbs, and fat in it, can be a good place to start. A smoothie or something like that, even just like gut gummies or something light that doesn't feel heavy on your stomach, but is supplying your body with energy. I'm telling you, if you're not eating breakfast, like start. It really will make such a difference.
That's so good. Okay, perfect. So next question for you, grocery shopping. Where do you do it and what do you look for? I mean, are we shopping all organic? Like, what does that look like for you?
That's a really good question. Okay. As far as where, my weekly shopping happens at Costco and Whole Foods.
Okay.
We've got a Costco membership because I love me a bulk discount, right?
Oh yeah.
Actually, I really do buy a lot of my staples from Costco. I buy a lot of my produce there, even a lot of our meat and stuff. I love buying like frozen fruit in bulk. I mean, I buy a lot from Costco, honestly. And they really do have good, healthy options. But then I go to Whole Foods mostly because it's really close to our house, and then they just have everything I need. That's for like my specialty items. I don't buy all my groceries there, but they've got some fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's like where I go weekly. I do love me a Trader Joe's. I mean, anywhere. As you know, now I pick up raw milk every other week from the local farm. But as far as what to look for, okay. First of all, I think it's so important. Nutrient or, like ingredient quality and the quality of your food is so important. Obviously, if we could all like grow our own food and know that it's like never sprayed with pesticides and all of our animals are just like eating grass, I mean, obviously that would be ideal. It's not feasible. And I totally understand that because of that, like eating all organic everything, all grass-fed, pasture-raised everything is just not accessible for so many of us, especially right now with inflation. I don't even want to talk about how much money I'm spending on groceries lately. It's insane. But, so some of the things I think about, obviously I do try to buy organic with like produce. Really, the organic label, it only means so much with meat. But with meat, I'm really looking for grass-fed or pasture-raised where I can, eggs pasture-raised where I can. But I think it's so important to take that pressure off yourself if you're like, because so many people are just like, I can't afford it, or, and so then they just throw in the towel and they just like don't make the effort anywhere. I think making the effort in some places, like prioritizing that in your budget in some places and not in others, can be really helpful. So a really simple rule of thumb, if you've ever heard of the Dirty Dozen or the Clean 15, this is something that they actually publish a new list every year, with the Dirty Dozen being the like top sprayed fruits and vegetables, and then the Clean 15 being the least sprayed, or the ones you are least likely to need to buy organic. So you can always refer to that list. But another rule of thumb that I often just think about is, am I eating the skin of this fruit or vegetable? So something really porous like strawberries, like if those are sprayed with pesticides and all that junk that I don't want to be consuming, I can wash them, but like they're in the strawberry, right? Like that's like, even if I wash it, that's all up in there. So that's something I really prioritize to buy organic. But like avocados, where I'm cutting into the skin and I'm eating what's on the inside, I don't worry about buying organic, or bananas or oranges or things like that. It's not as important to have organic. If obviously everything organic would be great, but if you're making that call, that's just like an easy rule of thumb to try to prioritize. And then I just honestly try to think of most of my grocery cart being real whole foods, like not whole foods like the store, like whole foods. Like, does this food exist as it is? Like, did it grow like this from the earth, or did, obviously meat or things like that, eggs, like there's dairy, even like yogurts, like there's some level of processing there, but like that's like a real whole food. That's just something that I strive to think about, is just like, is this a real food? Yeah. Not like, I think we can overcomplicate it when we're like thinking of all these rules and like, it's got to be paleo. So then you're buying all these like paleo crackers and you're just like, it's just like, eat real food.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that I don't buy stuff like that. I definitely do. But I think not overcomplicating it and just trying to focus on creating meals, like even just my breakfast, like, well, breakfast is typically easier for people to think of that way, like having eggs or fruit, but even just like assembling lunches and dinners, I'm just like, how can I put real foods together to make something that's enjoyable?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that complicated.
Oh my gosh, that is so good. And I love that is seriously just as you're shopping and you're like looking at things and you're like, oh, wow, I could grab this bag of Cheetos, or maybe I could go get some of those mini tangerine oranges. You know what I mean? And just like looking at that and being like, wow, more whole foods, more created foods that were made by God, maybe not man.
Exactly. And
I love that.
Even like people asking about like protein bars, or like I used to eat all these processed foods and think that they were healthy because they're marketed as healthy, but like I'd rather eat an egg than a protein bar. Like that's a real food versus a processed created food that's got a bunch of ingredients in it. Even if the ingredients are like quote unquote good, it's still not as recognizable as food and fuel to my body. So yeah, just trying not to overcomplicate it, because then you don't have to pay attention to ingredients and labels. It's just like, buy the avocado.
I love that so much. So then,
yeah,
I know we're kind of running short on time, but I really, really want to talk about this, because this has kind of been something I've been seeing a lot on your socials. Gut health. Can you give me a breakdown of what gut health is and why we should care? Truthfully.
Oh my gosh.
Like, why?
Yes. Your gut is literally the foundation of your health, of your mental health, of your physical health, of your skin health, like literally everything. And this is why I spend so much time talking about gut health, because I truly believe that you cannot have a healthy body, and you cannot experience healing in places like your hormones or your skin or any of these other areas, your immunity, without your gut. Because here's some crazy facts for you. I like to throw these out. I'll just blow your mind. So you have 100 trillion microbes, which are bacteria, fungi, even viruses, living in your gut. That is literally more cells than you have in your whole body of yourself. Like, you have more microorganisms than you have of your own cells. It's insane. And so that's what we call your gut microbiome. It's this really delicate balance of all these microbes living together in this biofilm, right? Like this environment of probiotics, fungi, all these things. And they actually have a symbiotic relationship with your own cells where like we provide them a warm place to live and some food, and they actually perform functions for us. They break down foods that we can't break down. Like there are fibers that you eat in plants that you can't break down, and that the bacteria do it for you. They process your hormones. Like your estrogen is processed by these bacteria inside your gut. There's like a specific strain of bacteria that processes your estrogen. 70% of your immune system is housed in your gut. So your gut is your immune system. Wow. 95% of your serotonin is made in your gut. Like a lot of your neurotransmitters, which are the messengers that your brain uses to communicate with your body, are created in your gut. The gut-brain axis is so fascinating. I mean, even if you just think about like the reactions, like think about when you get butterflies in your stomach or when your stomach drops, like when you get bad news, anything like that, the vagus nerve that connects your brain to your gut, 90% of the communication that's happening there is actually going from gut to brain instead of brain to gut, which shows you like you have that drop in your stomach when you get bad news before your brain has even processed it, because your gut is processing your environment before your brain even does. It is crazy. It's crazy.
This is so cool.
I know. So I feel like gut health is a kind of buzzy, trending wellness topic as of late, but it's definitely what I'm on board for because it truly is the foundation of your health. The research proves that the vast majority of people struggling with both anxiety and depression have gut dysbiosis, which really just means an imbalance of the healthy and the bad bacteria in your gut. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. I know we're short on time because I could talk forever, but hopefully that paints the picture of just like why your gut is so important, how it affects so many other parts of your body, and why it is just the foundation of everything.
That's so crazy. So what are just like, again, short on time, but what are just a few little things that we can do every day to support that? Because clearly it is incredibly important. And I feel like this is a newer thing that I'm hearing about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, oh my gosh. So first of all, if you have an imbalanced gut microbiome, which 9 out of 10 people do, like 9 out of 10 people walking around on the face of the planet have an overgrowth of bad bacteria and fungi in their gut because of a lot of different factors. The antibiotics and the antibacterials that we use in our environment where we kill off the good bacteria, so much about our diets, all the things. So first of all, it really is important to note, like, you can only get so far in having a healthy gut until you like truly transform the bacteria that live inside your gut. So we know about probiotics. I'm guessing listeners have heard about probiotics, and we know that those are healthy bacteria that are providing our body with healthy bacteria for our gut microbiome, which is helpful. But that only does so much if you have an overgrowth already of the bad stuff. So it's really important to like reset your gut microbiome if you have an unhealthy one. But taking daily probiotics, that is one of the supplements that I believe everyone, regardless of who you are or what your health status is, everyone should be taking probiotics. Eating probiotic rich foods is also an option. There's a reason why every cultural cuisine in the history of the earth has had some fermented foods in their diet, because we know that these fermented foods are really good for feeding our guts. Eating healthy quality carbs with a high amount of resistant starches, which are the starches that feed our gut bacteria, is really good. So even just like healthy carbs. Healthy carbs are so important. This is one of the reasons I am not a fan of the keto diet, because you literally can't feed your gut microbiome without carbs. So that happens in like fiber rich foods, resistant starch foods. So, healthy sweet potatoes and all good stuff like that. And then collagen is another like kind of buzzy supplement, but collagen is super important too. So you can do that through taking a collagen supplement or through drinking bone broth, which is like where we naturally find collagen in the bones of animals. So you can drink bone broth or just like gelatinous foods. So even like the way that we consume meat, we're used to just like eating chicken breast when really we used to like consume the entire animal. We want to get like the gelatinous meats and bones because that's where the collagen is, and that's what helps to strengthen our gut lining.
Wow. Oh my gosh. This is so, so good. Okay. Taking my notes. This is awesome. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, as we wind down, I just want to hear from you, like, where can people find you, the resources you are offering everybody? Just give yourself a moment to just tell everyone about you.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I could truly talk about gut health forever. I feel like we barely scratched the surface there. So
true.
A great place to dive in. I do have a gut health masterclass. It's a free masterclass you can watch online, where I just really go a lot deeper into a lot of the things I just mentioned, why your gut is so important, what to do about it, how to support it. So the Gut Health Masterclass is a great place to start. But I do have my Gut Glow program, which is where I am helping women transform their gut. So that's something I've been doing for a few years. We've had hundreds of women clear so many symptoms in their lives just by addressing their gut health, which is just so fun. So that's something that y'all can check out. But yeah, on Instagram, I'm at mollie.mason. And I also have a YouTube channel, which is probably my favorite place to create for. We can just dive in so much deeper on all the things on YouTube. All the, emotional and body love chats are there too. So it's just a place to dive in for more, but I can give you the links for all that as well.
Perfect. Yes, that will be in the show notes. And guys, seriously, so many good resources here. I'm so, so grateful. Thank you for coming on and chatting with us, Mollie. I literally feel like I could talk to you for 10 more hours.
I know. We could talk for so long. So thank you so much for having me. Honestly, I pray that whoever is listening is just feeling refreshed in her desire to take care of her body and, see it through a new lens of just knowing that nourishing it and caring for it can be a joy and a gift, and we don't have to be enslaved to just the lies of the world. Thank you so much.